Hey everybody, welcome to Hit Rewind. I am Michael and John's on the other side.
I'm John.
I am Groot. Um,
Yeah.
you may notice there may be some hiccups or weird things with my voice. I was horribly sick for 2 weeks, so I lost my voice. So if it cracks or spasms, that's what's kind of going on. Um,
Yes, there are reasons for it.
yeah,
Reasons for that deep, sexy voice of yours
right.
today.
Well, if I go any higher, it literally shuts off. Nothing will come out. So really odd. But off we go. In this episode we're doing a two-parter of films built based on Robert E. Howard works. I basically split it up in the Dino De Laurentiis years, where he was the owner of those properties, and then it went back to I think Stan Lee ended up owning it or some sort of legal argument that Stan bought it but nobody was sure exactly, and they got it from somebody else. And those are the new image kind of years, the independently raised funding. The Conan remake, the Solomon Kane and stuff like that.
And
But
yeah,
this, yeah, um, but this is the
because
original.
I I remember in the comics anyway. It's like there were Marvel had the Conan comics, and then they lost the rights to it or something, and that ended up being you know stretched. I think maybe what Dark Horse or
Yeah,
something did some, and then Marvel got the rights back briefly because I have one, like I have a graphic novel of some of that, and then they lost the rights again, I assume, because they're now back. I think Dynamite is releasing those now.
yeah. It's funny is that we're also seeing that the Conan tales are now going public domain. I believe the very first one went public domain this year. And that's going to happen real fast. All of it's going to go public domain. So anybody can make a Conan movie now, and it's going to be like the fucking Winnie the Pooh and Popeye the Slayer. Except if you're going to go horror, at least Conan still fits in that genre.
Well, hopefully we can have some fun Eldritch horror stuff
Yeah.
in these films.
Well, it's and he did more than sword and sorcery. He did do some horror tales. Pigeons from Hell being the one that's probably the most well known. Um, that stuff will probably be made into a movie. I can't imagine some small nothing company trying to make a Conan movie on like $1 million.
Oh no, oh no, it'll look like Deathstalker and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it can be done. It'll just look very cheap and bad, and
No,
maybe that'll add to how much fun it could be.
could be. Speaking of, so the Conan movie is not the first sword and sorcery movie. There was one back in the 60s called The Magic Sword. Um, but what we know of, that pulpy sword and sorcery really didn't take off again until the 70s. We started getting Dungeons and Dragons, people really getting into fantasy. I want to say some of that might have been had to do with acid and weed. Um,
Yeah, yeah, that could make sense.
and they were trying to get a production going for a while, and it just wasn't happening. And I think something must have just been in the air once the 80s hit. We had Hawk the Slayer, which is my favorite bad movie. Um, didn't make a lot of money, but it's 82 where we get Beastmaster, Sword and the Sorcerer, and Conan the Barbarian, and things off and running from there. It's just like these huge budget sword and sorcery with lots of like nudity and gore, and maybe Excalibur had something to do with it because that did make a lot of money, and that was had nudity and gore in it too. What do you think? Do you think that had some influence?
I would say so, yeah, because that definitely feels like, hey, look, we can make money off of these things. It doesn't require, well, Excalibur did have armor and shit like that, but Conan the Barbarian doesn't necessarily have the biggest costume budget.
No, no.
It's a lot of furs and a lot
Well,
of people dressed like barbarian clothes.
like Mad Max, those movies were pretty easy to make. Find a desolate wasteland or whatever with limited architecture, and you can shoot something pretty cheap. There was a wave, like you said, Deathstalker probably being the most well known. Um, a wave of like Italian film, sword and sorcery movies for years. I think the whole wave kind of dies, I think, in '88 with Willow. Um, which I think everybody thought was gonna be a much, much bigger hit and kind of kickstart the sword and sorcery thing again. It didn't. So it's basically just like this little chunk of time from like 82 to 86 maybe, um, where it was kind of like, hey, we're gonna throw a lot of money at these crazy ideas.
Yeah, it's like, and I'll say this, I'm really sad that Willow didn't pick off because Willow's so good.
Yeah. I think it's so funny is that Masters of the Universe is born out of a failed tie-in for the Conan figures. Did you know that?
Yeah, yeah, because they had all those toys that they just couldn't sell. So, you know what? Let's go ahead and let's figure this stuff out. Let's kit bash these toys into something that we can sell.
Yeah, it's so funny because like they didn't know how gory it was gonna be when they signed the license, and they're like, "Oh, we can't sell this to kids." Oh shit.
Which
Um,
is funny because then later on, they totally could have
yeah,
because Rambo and
RoboCop.
Aliens and
Yeah,
RoboCop.
the first Conan production really is one that I think they were patient with. They took their time and they find the right people to work on it. It is Oliver Stone, but for the most part, Milius comes in and he adds his bombastic flavor to it. And, having the soundtrack by Basil Palladores, who is a true discovery, I think, for this soundtrack. And, Arnold Schwarzenegger waiting it out. He had signed, I think, 5 years earlier for the role. And all the pieces really do come together, I think, in such a great fashion. I think the only weak point, I maybe Sandal Bergman's performance, though she is pretty dynamite to see in action.
I'll be honest. I mean, with the exception of, okay, this is an insane sentence to say. This movie was written by John Milius and Oliver Stone. That is an insane
Yeah,
sentence,
it is.
just off the bat.
Right.
But it's like Milius rewrote a lot of the script, and Stone's idea of, I guess, setting the film in a post-apocalyptic future instead of the ancient
Oh,
past
I didn't know
was probably
that.
a good call.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's still elements of it, like the crucifixion and climbing the Tower of Serpents, which are pulled from some of the Conan stories. But I'll be honest, the fact this movie drags
Does
like the
you think
entire
so?
time.
Oh wow, I love this movie
Yeah,
so much.
I find Conan. It's been a while since I've seen it, but I forgot how long and boring it is. Like this film could have been tightened easily, like 20 minutes, and it wouldn't have lost a single thing because there are a lot of shots. Oh, there's a weird lack of establishing shots in this film. I don't know where we are half the time. Like when they enter the city, I genuinely thought they were entering like three different cities, and I'm assuming that's the same one
Oh, okay.
based on how it ends up being. But it feels like, oh, they travel, they enter the city, and then they have shots where they're in nowhere, and it looks like they're traveling from a city to another city, and then but the way it's then contextualized becomes, oh, it's the same place. It just my brain is, I don't understand what's happening in here. And it's like the opening thing of Conan's background, where James Earl Jones kills his family and stuff like that, takes forever. Like, and then him becoming the slave takes forever, and then him being the gladiator takes forever.
Wow, I never felt any of that. You know what's funny is
And
Milius is going for epic. It's as if he's trying to
oh,
tell his entire life story. Like he's not expecting a sequel, even though there is that little thing at the very end, which I think was tacked on. Uh, um, he wants to go for the life story of Conan, whereas the second movie is just, hey, here's another adventure. It's a lot tighter. You're right. They're established. You know where you are at all times in the sequel.
yeah, and that's the part of the thing is, like, yes, I get it. It's going for epic, and this is also '82. This is the still like a '70s mindset of editing and stuff. So there is still, I get pacing is going to be different, and my ADD brain
Ah.
is not going to. It's not just that I have a problem with '70s or anything like that, but there is very much a different aesthetic and pacing to films of this sort. My problem is the fight scenes are lethargic, the sex scenes have no heat. It's boring. Like literally, it until we actually get James Earl Jones acting in this film, everyone sucks. And I mean, we have Max von Sydow, and Max von Sydow's not bad. I mean, Schwarzenegger, this is like his first real film.
Yeah, he's done a couple
So-
before this, Stay Hungry,
Yeah.
which he got noticed for, and I think he has done The Villain, which is basically the Roadrunner versus Coyote, but it's him and Kirk Douglas.
Yeah, it's like he doesn't really know how to act yet. So I'm not gonna bash on him. I think that Sandal Bergman's fine. It's not. I'm not gonna knock or anything. But everyone is just no one really good in this movie until you get to James Earl Jones, and then he sells the hell out of
I
everything.
know. Absolutely the best part of this movie. His peaceful leadership in his cult is what throws me off, because a lot of times when they do this in movies, they make him very commanding and very like controlling cult leader. You're intimidated and scared. These people are absolutely and utterly in love and fascinated by this man.
Yeah, it's like it makes sense. He's got a great commanding presence, and I totally get why people would go into this death cult for him. And be willing to just throw themselves off a wall and die for him. Because it's like you kind of go like, oh no, I get that. And I mean, sure, he's got magic powers and shit, but even so, it's like, yeah, sure, everyone's probably like, but yeah, you get to the end and everyone's just kind of, oh, he's dead. All right, I guess I'm done.
Where will we go now? I really think the final battle sequence, all that setup, is absolutely fascinating, and the payoff is so worth it. I'm sorry that you didn't really care for it.
Yeah, maybe the longer cut is better.
Oh, you want more?
But part of me goes, would I really want to spend more time in this? And it's kind of like, but then again, sometimes that's kind of where the longer cut actually fixes those problems with pacing and whatnot.
Well, like
you never know.
Legend, I think the director's cut is much better than the theatrical cut.
Yes,
100%. Well, let's go ahead and go to the sequel then. The one that's much more comic booky. They actually got comic book writers, and they're not going for epic. The budget's a little bit smaller, but they have more of an eclectic cast. Again, not highly trained actors for the most part. I mean, you got Tracy Walter in there, who's he's done his rounds. He knows what he's doing. Replacing Sabotai in this one. But you have Wilt Chamberlain, Grace Jones. Olivia Diabo?
Not particularly well cast.
No, Grace Jones is fascinating to watch, though. I've never seen anybody just like that on screen.
Oh, I will sit there and go like, yes, she definitely plays I am a feral person.
Yeah.
And it's not, I don't think it's good, but she is 100% throwing herself into that thought. Whereas Wilt Chamberlain very obviously has no idea what the hell he's doing.
Oh no, he's just cast because he's bigger than Arnold Schwarzenegger, and they have to have that throwdown at the end of the movie.
Yeah. Although I did kind of like the fact that apparently Andre the Giant is the monster at the end.
Yeah, I read that. Sarah Douglas in this, of course, being the really great at being like these sleazy, snipey kind of British villains.
I love her. I love watching her do stuff. She's not necessarily good. I don't think anyone's really good in this film. When Arnold Schwarzenegger is the best actor in your film, at this stage of his career, you have a problem.
I love Mako, but Mako is playing it big. Like when he most of his characters usually tend to be very, very subtle or very, very big. As the magician, some of the stuff in this works. Some of it is really ridiculous. The whole scene where the magicians are trying to open that doorway, whatever that, it looks like just a giant clam. Can the bad guys not just poke their swords in there? Can they not crawl in? That's a big gap, guys.
No. No, but this was done by Richard Fleischer, who did Soylent Green, which we've covered
Yeah,
in the past.
much better
like
film.
Fantastic Voyage, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea for Disney. So this is a guy who does at least kind of understand, like with Fantastic Voyage and 20,000, like cheap special effects. So he's able to kind of make some of this stuff work in
Yeah.
a way.
Uh-huh.
But it's kind of funny that this was supposed to be an R-rated film, but they went, we want this to be more successful, so let's tone it down a bit.
Which has that ever worked once? Ever? Every single time they do that, it's less box office.
Oh no, they didn't realize what the audience was.
Right. Also,
But
let's
it's
just
like-
say this. This would be probably rated R now.
It'd be PG-13.
I don't know
The violence.
Okay.
The violence is enough that I would go PG-13, but yeah, it would be an R.
Ripping the horn out of that monster, though, that's a lot of blood.
That is a lot of blood. That is probably the hardest thing. But I guess there were again, it was an R-rated film until they cut it.
Yeah.
Which because I guess there was like a sex scene between Sarah Douglas and Conan. And there was actually a few more things involving her, like there's a virgin sacrifice somewhere in this.
Ah, okay.
And I assume the cannibals trying to eat Mako had more to it because, like violence-wise, because that is chopped to hell. You can't really tell what's going on. You just see kind of like in Monty Python's The Holy Grail, kind of how they cut around a lot of the violence and it's just dumb looking.
Uh-huh.
But that's kind of part of the comedic effect. It's kind of the same way here, where it's like he runs in, Conan's running in and cuts a person, and all you see is just a guy, a body falling, just part of half a body falling on the floor.
Yeah.
The rest of his body's off camera. So it's like, okay, is he decapitated or what? He just fell.
Yeah, I think
He's tired. He wants a nap.
The one thing that hurts this movie, I think, is that Richard Fleischer clearly doesn't care about what he's making. It's just a paycheck for him. And you see, like, this is what his career was in the 80s. In the 70s, it was pretty bold. 80s, it's just like, I'm old, I'm tired, I don't give a shit, give me my money.
Yeah, well, what's funny is there are some really good things that came out of this film. And that's, it was delayed. And so Arnold Schwarzenegger put off shooting his next film by just a little bit, which was a little film called The Terminator.
Yeah.
Which allowed James Cameron to do a few more rewrites on the script. And we're all better off for it.
Yeah, we absolutely.
Which also, and also gave him time to write Aliens, which then, because of how well Terminator did, he was able to direct. So thank God we have Conan the Destroyer.
And so he still had a contract. Dino De Laurentiis still had a contract with Arnold Schwarzenegger for one more film. And I'm always shocked when I think about, like, hey, why didn't you just make a third Conan? Why did you waste that contract for 3 weeks of filming on Red Sonja? I never understood that. Maybe because he just wanted to launch another franchise, and he was desperate to get that going. Something
like that, yeah. It's because Schwarzenegger did this film as a gift for Laurentiis, and it was just like he just wanted to be a glorified cameo. It's 85. He's now a little bit more in demand.
Yeah. Because I think he's already done Commando and Terminator between the two. I could be wrong. And both of those were big hits. In fact, I think they were bigger hits than Conan.
Definitely 100% Terminator.
Yeah.
But let me check. I'm looking right now to see if
while you're doing that, I'll say
what happens after. Or the same year, I should
say. We went to a double feature at the drive-in of Raw Deal and Red Sonja, and I remember thinking Raw Deal was so boring. It was made for grown-ups. I was like 6 or 7, and Red Sonja was pretty good. I had already seen the two Conans, which I'm sorry. Mom and Dad, I was too young to see those. I don't know what you were thinking. But Red Sonja was more pared down. That was straight up PG-13, meant for families, I think. There's hardly any blood, and there's no nudity as far as I remember. And it has a kid character in there who's, good Lord, obnoxious. I know he's supposed to be pompous, but Jesus, lay off.
But, okay, I didn't expect much from child Ernie Reyes Jr. Not really.
Yeah.
these kid actors. Kid actors are rarely good, but it doesn't seem like he actually ever learned anything
No, not
from that
really.
point on.
No.
So it's kind of his. I'll give him. It's kind of par for the course, I guess, for
Eh,
his acting ability.
yeah, it's
But
Brigitte Nielsen is not an actress, and literally she was not an actress. He searched and searched and searched for somebody who was Amazonian that could handle themselves physically and was gorgeous, and that's what he ended up with. He tried. Where was Gina Davis? Was she too busy?
I think she was up for it too.
Okay. It's
Yeah,
just I
I
think that
remember.
I,
I don't have who like casting alternatives, but
yeah, I was like I keep thinking like there was Alexandra, whatever her name was from Christine and Dragnet, the Virgin Connie Swale. There had to have been better choices because Brigitte absolutely cannot act. The only time she ever pulled off a performance is when she was cold as steel, which she may have been in real life in Beverly Hills Cop 2.
yeah, and again, it's these films. No one really tries, and it's a shame. But I will give this film some credit. I do think the fight scenes are a lot better in
Yeah,
this film than the previous two. Uh, Especially like the Sonya Freitag, where she's fighting Pat Roach. That is an interesting dynamic fight. There is actually stuff happening here, and I'm like, oh, this is an actual action sequence. What the hell? How did this happen in this franchise so far?
the
And like even the end fight, because that is kind of funny. Is you do get a little bit of gay panic lesbianism
yeah.
with Sandra Bergman, but I think their fight at the end is actually kind of fun. And it's I don't think it's greatly choreographed, but I think it's okayly
Well,
choreographed.
it's the movies increase to get more comic booky, and I think that's why they're treated so poorly. Is it's the same quality acting in all three movies. There's a little bit good, there's a lot of bad, and what I think is as they increase, they said, hey, let's make this more like an issue of the comics that everybody loves.
Yeah, and would this actually be the first Marvel adaptation? Because Red Sonja is not this version of Red Sonja is not a Howard creation.
Right.
That that character is a totally different one, with the exception of having red hair and a fiery disposition. It's like she's like what, a Ukrainian freedom fighter sort of
Something,
thing.
yeah. So yeah, theatrically it is the first because everything else was on TV at the time.
Yeah, because it's like this version of this character was Roy Thomas and Barry Windsor Smith from the 70s. So
Okay. I forgot about that. Yeah, it's so funny. Is Conan the only, or sorry, not Conan. Let's just call him Conan anyway. Uh, Prince
oh
Calidor, I think is his name. Um, Essentially he pop. That's the thing that drove me nuts about this movie is he seems to pop up out of nowhere. There's no sense of where he was before, where he just came from. And you're like, okay, we're fighting this water monster, and you just come out of nowhere. Where the fuck were you? And and
sorry, guy. Well, I think before that he's holding off some people, so it's
okay.
assumed that
But it's
he killed them all and followed them up. But
yeah,
yeah, he's Conan. He's
yeah,
all it is like, oh, he's running under a false name or some
and he does
nonsense like
lots
that.
of feats of strength. Good Lord, it's like, oh, I gotta hold up this wall with my back. I gotta lift this thing heavily. Over and over. It's like it's almost a Hercules movie.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, which sword and sorcery basically replaced the sword and sandal movies of the '60s coming out of Italy.
Pretty much.
um,
But then we go for over a decade between films of this
yeah,
type.
I believe Conan 3 was not part of the contract. He was not eager to sign it, and so Conan the King was never made, and they rewrote the script years later when Hercules took off, and Dino De Laurentiis, he's like, he was like kind of that period. He did Dragonheart, I think, the year before, and maybe he thought maybe there's some taste for sword and sorcery in the air. He was right, but it was 4 years later with Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
But yeah, Call of the Conqueror exists out of the fact that the Conan 3 script got repurposed.
Yeah, and I really don't want to be mean to the director because this was his last film, but I had the thought that this film killed his career. But it turns out he passed away the year afterwards.
Yeah.
And honestly, there's a crass joke to be made, I'm sure. In mentioning it, you start kind of going to where my brain went, and I felt really bad about it. But I did have to check to make sure he didn't die of cancer or something.
Oh yeah.
Because then I would have felt even worse. But no, I forget what it was.
I remember we used to get these packages of comics from, I think, J.C. Penney every year, and it would be 1 month of every single issue that Marvel put out. And so we did get a Red Sonja, but I remember like 3 years in a row we got Call the Conqueror, and I just could not get into it the same way I did Conan the Barbarian, and I don't think it lasted very long, like 4 or 5 years. It's so interesting is like I guess it's just because he couldn't do another Conan movie or didn't want to do another Conan movie that he took this vague property that no one really remembers to turn into a $35 million movie, which is the most expensive of all the Robert E. Howard movies so far.
Oh man! But I will say this, my first note on this film is nice, heavy metal, then orchestra, then metal. We know what kind of movie this will be.
Yep. Shit.
Dumb.
I fucking hate when they add music that does not fit to make it hip. They've done that a few times, but I really remember being in theaters when this, because we went and saw this, the score came up and I was like, what the fuck? Like, I was like, this is not good. This is a bad sign. And then I had seen a little bit of Hercules, but my friend had seen a bunch of it. That's why we wanted to go see it so bad. And I remember thinking within 5 minutes, oh shit, this is the worst acting for a movie this big.
Oh well, and part of this is we were talking about the Conan thing. I didn't jump in, but this was going to be Conan the Conqueror. That was where they, script wise and everything, it was going to be a Conan film just with Kevin Sorbo.
Yeah.
But Sorbo didn't want to take over a legacy character.
Ah.
So then they changed it to Cole because that was another barbarian character. And then it was also supposed to be R-rated, but he didn't want to make an R-rated movie.
Oh, jeez.
So they cut down, I guess, in the script. I don't even think they shot anything to make this R-rated. They cut down everything from the script to make it PG-13. And then he felt he was overshadowed by the female characters because they had depth and stuff. So, and that was going to hurt his male audience. So he had the characters underwritten,
Oh, that's so fucking lame.
So yeah, I will admit to this, I had more fun with this film than the other ones, but I hate Kevin Sorbo as a human being.
Yeah, he sucks.
So it's, and in reading all this stuff, just kind of going, yeah, what a little scumfuck.
The only characters that are interesting in this are the ones that aren't him. I thought Lightfoot was really fun as the monk. I'm sorry, Karina Lombard. Yeah. Karina Lombard is gorgeous, but I couldn't understand hardly a word that came out of her mouth.
No. Harvey Fierstein is in this movie.
Oh, fuck yeah.
And
Kyle.
Let's be honest. I don't think Harvey Fierstein has actually ever been good in a movie. Ever. But he's so fun, and it's that voice of his.
Yeah.
You don't care because he's just so, exorbitant and just out there, and you can't not enjoy him as a performer.
Well, and Tia Carrere and Thomas Ian Griffith are chewing the fucking scenery so much that they're not good actors, but they're fun to watch.
Yeah, this is not a good movie at all.
No, it's highly entertaining trash.
I would assume that if I really had to boil it down, Conan is truly the best made film of this lot.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, this one is the most fun and most entertaining, and I'd be more willing to watch this one again.
Okay.
Which was weird because I wasn't sure if I had seen this before.
Uh-huh.
And then when I got to it, I'm sitting there, like, when they get into the ice place and they're going to the hand, I'm like, all of a sudden everything came back, and I'm like, oh yes, I have seen this one. I did rent this.
That's probably the best.
I never saw it in theaters.
That is probably the best set piece of the whole thing. There's a lot of Conan the Barbarian, or not Conan the Barbarian, but Conan stories that are on the high seas. He's a pirate for a few books, and they never really captured that. And it was kind of nice to see them go off land and go onto the boats for a little bit. There's elements of this that they took obviously from the Conan books. I cannot remember anything about Call except I remember he was a lot faster, he was lighter, and just his attitude was a little bit different. Um, what is interesting is I looked it up, and Conan and Call are related, and I thought, oh, maybe it's like his grandfather or something like that. And they go, oh no, he's an ancestor of him. It's a 10,000 year difference. And I was like, how the fuck can you tell? 10,000 years? Jesus Christ, you think they would be cavemen at that point?
Well, yeah, but then again, the Hyborian era is like 10,000 BC or something.
Yeah, it's not our world, but I was just shocked there wasn't a whole lot of development between Call the Conqueror and Conan the Barbarian. It seems like there's less development in Conan.
Yeah. Actually, doing a quick little search, the film is an adaptation of the novel The Hour of the Dragon.
Oh, that is a Conan book. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that there's been attempts to make some more since then. Besides Conan the Brand Mac Morn was a big book by Robert E. Howard. It never got adapted. But we're gonna have another long gap before we see the Momoa one. There's a real shit TV show. Holy fuck. Shot in
Well,
Mex
I know there's a cartoon at some point.
Oddly enough, the two cartoons, I think it's Conan, uh, and then Conan the Adventurer.
The Adventurer.
Yeah, the Adventurer. Those were both in the 90s, a couple years separate between the two. Those at least had, since they're animated, they could have the ideas. But obviously, it's not going to have the pulpiness, the sex, and the violence of the book. So it's kind of strange. They're like, oh, let's do young Conan. Nah, I'm good. I don't want that. And then they do because the Hercules was so fucking popular in Xena. You remember there was like 5 or 6 knockoffs around that time, and they did do a 1 season Conan the Barbarian TV show. I think that was also called The Adventures of Conan or something, and shot for absolutely nothing in Mexico with no actors really whatsoever except Danny Woodburn, if you know who that is. Um, yeah, so Conan was in a real Robert E. Howard properties were in a real bad place in the 90s.
Oh yes, okay. I started looking him up like Danny Woodburn. I'm like, okay, yes, I know the.
Yeah.
Definitely don't know his name, but I know who he is.
This is just one of those that was sold on its name alone, and then when people watch it, like, fuck this. I'd rather watch Nightman or something, Baywatch Nights.
Yes, Tarzan the Epic Adventure.
Yeah,
there's Acapulco Heat.
Yeah, I remember there was Sinbad. I remember the Sinbad and the Adventures in the Seas or something like that. There was just so many Robin Hood Venture show. It was just pretty bad. They were all cheesy on purpose and bad CGI effects.
Yeah, well, that's also a thing to say about Cole. There is god awful CG in this film.
Oh, even back then.
Even for '97.
Yeah, I remember seeing the fire in on the big screen, going, "Oh shit, that's not good."
Oh man. Yeah, right. It's a movie. It was made.
I paid for it. It's stupid me. One that I went to see in theaters in 3D, everybody, was Conan the Barbarian remake. And sweet Jesus, was I let down. What did you think? Is this the first time you've seen it?
This is the first time I've seen all 3 of these.
Okay. Look, when they tell you that something costs $90 million and you don't see it on the screen, you gotta fucking ask, was there some embezzling going on here? Because that is clearly not what's on the screen. I mean, come on, but Stephen Lang's the biggest name. You only have 2 set pieces that really look like they cost some money, but not that kind of money. You gotta wonder. I don't know what to tell you.
Oh, come on. Well, it's all Marcus Nispel in that regard. You know, he's where all the money went to, because he did Texas Chainsaw and Friday the 13th remakes. I mean, I like those movies.
Yeah.
Wrong.
When it comes to horror, he's good. When it comes to sword and sorcery, no, because he had just made, damn it, it's with Carl Urban, Pathfinder, a few years before this, and that was a massive, massive flop. And that should have been a warning sign to you, Marcus. But I can see Conan, if you love it, how could you not want to do this? But and I read more into this. This is one of those where they had to have a start date by a certain point, like filming start date by a certain point, or they lost the rights. And that's where the problem I think lies, is that they didn't have a finished script. And you're just winging it as you go on a movie this expensive for a deadline that's seems arbitrary, except for Lionsgate probably said, "We need a summer release that's big. What do you got?" And they're like, "Conan? Okay, we'll take it."
Yeah, just one of those things where they were making a release date and not a movie.
Yeah. Um, I like Momoa, but I just don't think he's ready for this yet. I am going to admit now of utter humiliation and embarrassment of something I said when I heard production was going to start in 2009. When I saw it wasn't a white guy, I was like, I don't get it. Conan's always been white. Why would they cast him? And then someone goes, it's all made up, Michael. And I go, all right. See, that's what you do. You do
That's
that.
all that.
Yeah.
None of it matters. It is all fakes.
Yes, I said, oh, right. What the fuck was I thinking? And there you go. You don't shoot videos. You don't get Elon Musk into it about casting. You're like, just fucking grow up. Move on.
Yeah. Well, I assume we are talking about Conan the Barbarian.
Yes, we are.
And yeah, and I'll say this, people in this world are also made up of water balloons.
Yes,
because they just explode every time they're hit. They just kind of explode.
Look, and yes, they had blood packs in the first Conan the Barbarian. We saw it. It's kind of outrageous, but no, these people explode, and I don't know if they thought it was gonna look cool in 3D, or they just said we gotta go crazy with the gore. I mean, it is from Lionsgate and Millennium, and they had just come off of making tons of money with Saw and the new Rambo, where he mows them down. Remember the intestines flying everywhere? Oh,
yeah.
And I think that's what they just had in their mind. Expendables, the first one was really, really bloody. I think that's just what was on their mind. Everybody wants extreme gore. Let's make it cartoonishly stupid. Now, whether or not it was meant to be a joke, like the way Verhoeven does it, is up for debate. Marcus Nispel has never talked about the insane gore.
Yeah, no, I think that's just what he does. So he also makes everything like ugly and desaturated.
Yeah.
And while I think it works in Texas Chainsaw and Friday the 13th, this film could have used a little bit of color.
Yeah.
But it does. I'll give it some praise. It does manage to fulfill the promise of adventure and swords and sorcery. Like there's a sea creature in this.
Yeah.
There's magic. The Sand Warriors, none of the effects in this film are really particularly that good, but there's the idea like those Sand Warriors are actually pretty cool. And
yeah, that's the only sequence that really works for me.
And the mask at the end, I think there actually might be a practical mask at a few moments before he puts it on, and then it's very obviously all digital.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jason Momoa is terrible in this. I mean, he's making me long for the subtlety of Kevin Sorbo.
Yeah. I don't know. I love him as Aquaman. I love him some other stuff, but I don't think he was ready yet. And he was a nobody at the time. He may have just come off of, I think, the first season of Game of Thrones when he got cast in this. But before that, he was just on Stargate Atlantis for a few years.
Yeah, I'll say this. Stephen Lang is definitely the best thing in this. He does have the charisma like James Earl Jones had.
Yeah.
But he's a little bit more of an interesting villain, which kind of surprised me. Rose McGowan isn't really good either, but she's chewing the scenery well enough, so and Rachel Nichols is just kind of there.
Yeah.
She's not given anything to do, so I mean that's not like I'm not attacking her or anything. It's just she's just kind of set dressing.
Right, and the Rose McGowan role was given because she was contractually obligated with Red Sonja, but they never went forward with it, so they had to pay her for something. So they might as well cast her as a crazy witch.
Yeah, it's it's an interesting look. We'll not say that. And I'll say this, I don't think this film is as long and boring as the original, but this one also does not tread any new ground or anything.
Right.
It's literally just, I've seen this movie before. People have done this film better.
Well, we were just talking about this, not you and I, but someone else was talking about this 2 days ago. So what Conan the Barbarian, the first one, is going for is epic.
almost a full life adventure from child to, king. It's almost there. And Destroyer is more like a James Bond movie, more Marvelish because it's just a small arc. If you were to put it in comic book terms, it would just be like a 3-issue arc. And
Yeah.
new villain, same guy, new adventure, new girl. It's like that kind of mentality. I don't know what this Conan the Barbarian wants to be. It wants to kind of tell some of the same stuff from the first movie, like his origin is remodified, but it's still kind of the same. But
Yeah,
after
more or
that,
less.
it doesn't seem like it really has that much of a direction. I don't know what it wants to say.
Well, it seems like it's an adventure, and that's all it is just we are taking a novella and putting it on the big
I
screen
don't know.
sort of feel.
I just feel like Destroyer
Like,
was more fun, if you're going to call it a real adventure movie.
Yeah, no, it's like, as I said, this is just a mid film.
Yeah.
Like, Destroyer, I think, has at least a little bit more ideas in it. This one, like I said, is just kind of it. I've seen this movie before. They just kind of went and took, hey, what are every single fantasy trope we can think of?
That's
throw it all together.
Yeah, it felt like a D&D game. Let's fill in this Mad Libs, but with sword and sorcery.
Yeah. So, it's like, it'd be nice if there was something more behind it.
Right.
And like I said, I complain about the boringness of Conan, and I would hands down watch Conan, the original, over this again.
Now, let me say this. MJ Bassett should be the only person that ever directs another Robert E. Howard adaptation, because I fucking loved Red Sonja remake and Solomon Kane. Much lower budget, tighter in its scope, but god damn it, somehow it just gets it right. At least in my opinion, has the right tone, the feel, the only thing that I don't get is when I was reading up on the making of Red Sonja is they're like trying to practice all the sword fights. They go, it's because MJ Bassett likes to shoot the scenes, unedited and from a distance. And I was like, well, you sure as fuck didn't see that on the screen because these are chopped to fuck.
Okay. My complaints on Red Sonja are pretty much all about technical aspects of it.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Like, I didn't really have an opinion on it before watching this film, but because of the opening minutes of Red Sonja, I fucking hate drone cameras.
Oh, okay.
So much of that opening looks like shit, and it's all drones, and they're doing stupid shit with it too. Like, she's sitting up in a tree eating that honeycomb, and they're spinning around her with the drone camera, and there's like a writing sequence in the forest, and you can tell very obviously there's no human being behind these camera movements, and it looks god awful. And I'm just starting to wonder, it's like, oh no, is this whole film, does this use just a drone instead of an actual human being?
Like, so someone had seen Michael Bay's Ambulance, and said, this is the future, this is everything.
I genuinely think that was it. It does settle down, and it does look like there's an actual human behind some of this stuff. And even later shot that I know is a drone actually looks like a human being in a helicopter shot it.
Yeah, that's the one thing I will say
around.
About drone shooting. Drone shooting is safer. Helicopter, I mean, come on. We've seen so many, or heard of so many helicopter accidents while shooting films. It's too dangerous to keep doing. Unless you can really, really keep a distance and zoom in, because I don't want another Twilight Zone. I don't want another Delta Force 2 or Mission Action 3 where people are crashing their helicopters and getting killed. But sometimes when you're showing it off, when you're being flashy, what it should be used for is shots that couldn't be done with a helicopter that were unsafe. That's what you should use it for.
Yeah. And there's no reason for half the shots that they were doing, and it feels like a cheap cop out. And it just really annoyed me. And it's like, but I was watching it and seeing kind of how cheap the film looks, although some decent enough CG at some points.
Yeah. Well, a lot of it, I think, what works is the actually human element, the actors, the storyline, the fighting. Yes, clearly Millennium is on its last legs financially. They can't keep having these flops and still go. And if you look, Red Sonja and Solomon Kane. These are movies that probably should have been released by a bigger studio, but for whatever reason got dumped on limited screens, basically to make a promotion for VOD. You know, Samuel Golden released Red
Yeah.
Sonja, and what was it, Radius?
Something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it did Solomon Kane, which Solomon Kane sat on the shelf for like 5 years. I think it's just because the name's attached. If you don't have a star with some of the stuff and it's not a well-known property, Solomon Kane is not well-known. Not even in the comic book world.
Yeah.
There's been like 17 issues. You know, that's it.
Yeah. Well,
Call is more popular.
I'll say this, before we move on to Kane, because there's
Oh, no, I wanna
just
talk about
something
Red Sonja.
talk about with
Yeah.
that. But with Red Sonja, like as I'm watching it and seeing how cheap it looks and how bad a lot of the acting is, I started having to recontextualize it, and I made it a Sci-Fi Channel original, and then all of a sudden it was better.
It felt very
I'm sitting there
pulpy. Yeah, it felt pulpy to me. It wasn't trying to be high art. It was just trying to be like a Saturday matinee kind of throwback, like the old Harryhausen films. It was kind of trying to have that spirit. I mean, yes, it is bloodier and R-rated as hell, but it just had that kind of
And
vibe.
I do respect that they did give the fans the chainmail bikini.
Yeah, and it wasn't exploitive though. Is that weird? Like it didn't feel like
Yeah,
it was
it
dirty
was-
and gazing.
Yeah. Well, it was weird because we are it is meant to be exploitive, but not in the way it was shot or anything. But it's meant to be exploitive. It was set up as, oh yeah, we're putting you out here in this. What's it protect? Nothing. And it's like, here you go. Here's a wooden sword and wooden shield. You're gonna die out there today. And it's like, gotta respect that, because I mean, I hadn't seen any trailers for this. The only thing I really knew was I saw like the poster art, which had kind of the approximation armor of kind of like this is sort of a chainmail bikini and sort of the little stuff, but actually seems slightly more functional. A bit of armor.
Yeah.
And which is ultimately what she ends up in later on in the film. But instead they're going, oh, yeah, they're doing an approximation, because it would be just gratuitous as hell to have this poor lady running around in a chainmail bikini, even if that is an aspect of the character.
Right.
Is she's so good she doesn't need anything
Clothes.
beyond this.
Yeah, and they cast someone who was an actress, not someone who was a body. That's the problem with, I think, the first Red Sonja, is that he was looking for someone who was, Amazonian, and gorgeous, and instead of looking for someone who was an actress first and then just happened to be, good looking or whatever. She doesn't have to be good looking. I don't know if that's part of the origin or not. And this one isn't based off the Marvel origin. It's based off the reconfigured one from Dynamite Press or Dynamite Entertainment. So it's literally produced by them. So sadly, probably the last production.
I will say, I did recognize the villainess, because I had read that arc.
Oh, okay.
That Gail Simone wrote.
Speaking of
the villain.
Oh,
yeah.
Gail wrote it. Okay. If you're going to do another Dynamite, though, I really do think there's a chance that their Lone Ranger will never get made, but it's so fucking good. John Cassidy's art is amazing. I actually think the villain in this is really good. Yes, he's hammy, but I mean, his motivations and his turn of betrayal when he reveals what happened and why he just won't fucking listen. God damn it. Would you just let go of your rage and listen for a fucking second? And then he dies, and he deserved it. But it hurts her that she had to do that.
Well, it's like, I'm mad at this movie for one thing, which is we hit the film's climax, and then there's still 30 minutes.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
There's a finale in that rain in the forest. All that stuff is there. It is not particularly well shot fight scenes or anything, but dynamic ideas and things.
Yeah.
And
well, I mean, maybe the comic book arc was like that. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like I don't remember, because I know a lot of stuff with the male villain is from a different one that I don't believe I've read.
Okay.
So I don't know. I can't remember Gail Simone's full run entirely with that, but I'm pretty sure there wasn't a big fight in a forest.
Oh, okay.
Like that. So yeah, and we get that there's the promised return of the prince that they save and escape, who's imprisoned, and he comes back with his army, and all that shit's lackluster, and we never get Chekhov's scorpion thing.
Yeah, you know what?
Because-
Yeah, I saw that. I kept waiting for it. That was what was going to be in the ring, and it didn't happen. I was like, what? Well, a Cyclops.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, they're really excited about doing that instead. But it's like, this guy goes off. I have to save my kingdom and rebuild my army. That's your tag for a sequel, which then at the end of the film is there. So we didn't actually need that last half hour of bullshit.
Yeah. Well, did you notice there was that other
Because-
tag, that little hints? She goes, I need to go meet some sort of Cimmerian or whatever. And I was like, oh, don't do that.
Yeah, the barbarian king in Samaria. Yeah. Yeah, it's like, I'm sort of going, yes, you're setting up, this is a larger world, and we're all going to go, oh, she said a word that we know.
Yeah, it's just never going to pay off because none of these movies make money. I feel like, though, you could still do this as a series. Like, just, $10 million an episode, decent budget. Just have a chronological adventure with each season. Just let's do that. Let's not do these movie things.
Stop doing Game of Thrones and let's do some Robert E. Howard stuff.
Lastly, Solomon Kane, the what do you call him? Puritan warrior?
Yeah, he's this Puritan who's literally, it's like, I knew absolutely nothing about this character.
Neither did I, yeah.
At all. And then I looked it up, and it's like, he's some Puritan from the 18th century who fights evil and is a zealot and has a strict moral code that has no gray area between good or evil. It's like, wow, these don't sound like fun adventures. It's like, I don't know what I'm getting into with this movie. I didn't even know it existed. Like, at least I knew that Red Sonja and Conan existed as properties.
I don't even remember how I
like,
stumbled upon Solomon Kane. I feel like I must have seen something like in comic book news or something about it, and then it just faded away for so many years, just sat on the shelf. Look, James Purefoy is not a star, and the most I think people know him from is the first Resident Evil. I think he looks like a poor man's Thomas Jane.
Yeah, it's like, and there's the whole thing. Like, I really wish they didn't have that prologue. It's about, like, this film anyway is about a guy who's seeking redemption for his past, and he's speaking of this darkness in him, and then once you see him have to recant these peaceful ways and stuff, then you see how brutal it can be, and like it becomes more of an interesting reveal as opposed to the opening.
I wonder if that was mandated to show what a badass he was and not to bore people. They needed an exciting opening, and that may have been a huge mistake.
Yeah, and it's like you get this, fight. Ultimately, one of the main villains is his brother, but none of this stuff carries weight because we've never really seen them be antagonistic to each other, because all the flashbacks, I think there's only 2 of them that feature his brother. And we know his brother's a shit, and all we know is that his brother falls off a cliff. And it's like there's nothing in between those, like the introduction of his brother and then him falling off a cliff that makes us go, oh, these two have some sort of, there's bad blood and there's things and all this crap between it. It's just there's no catharsis for this fight.
Right.
And you have a villain who looks like he fell asleep on a book.
Oh, yeah.
And but, oh, man. Pete Postlethwaite. Oh, I loved seeing him.
Yeah, it was good.
He was,
yeah.
I'm always happy watching that guy. He's fun.
There is a fine line between earnest and trying so desperately to be macho. And this is one of those where I think it rides the line just right. Whereas a lot of movies around this time, because of 300, it just went overloaded on super macho kind of horse shit that exhausts me. And I think Purefoy gives it enough gravitas, enough weight, and it sells the action, I think. And I just...
Yeah.
But if you're not into dark and dreary, like almost Vertigo storytelling line, I can't talk. Vertigo style storylines, it's not gonna be your thing. Yeah, is it comic booky? I guess, but more EC Comics than Marvel by a long shot. Dark Horse more than, mainstream comics.
Well, it's like, again, minus if you cut that prologue stuff, so we don't see that there are tangible demonic forces in this world. That if that is left just to that kind of revelation at the end, where all of a sudden a fucking demon pops out of
Yeah.
out of a mirror and shit, it's like, yes, we see that there is some sort of evil in this world, and there's magic, sure, but you're kind of, it's like I said, it seems far more interesting to have this character who's, again, I don't want to fight you. I will turn the other cheek. I will do all this stuff. And then it's like, then they kill this child. And then it's
game on.
Okay, yeah. It's like, nope, no more. I am now
the wrath
of God.
Going
to kill I'm gonna bring down the wrath upon all this evil. And it's like, okay, that's earned, whereas as opposed to, oh yeah, I'm watching this guy just be a total shithead at the beginning, and then it's the only reason why he seems to do this is, I don't want to have the devil grab my soul. And it's like, it comes off less of a, I'm seeking redemption, and more of, I'm looking out for my own neck.
Did you feel Brotherhood of the Wolf vibes with the filmmaking at all?
A little bit.
Yeah, same production company, Davis Films, but I was like, well, this feels almost Christoph Gans, the way that he films things. But I just had a really good time. I know that's weird if you think about like, what I just said. It's still really fucking dark, but it was a good time.
Yeah, of the three films, that was the film I enjoyed the most.
Okay. Of all
of
the movies,
quote, the most fun.
Yeah, of all of the movies that we watched with, the Robert E. Howard productions, what's your favorite?
Actually, probably would still be Solomon Kane.
Yeah, that's my second favorite. I still love Conan the Barbarian. I'm sorry you think it's boring.
But
Solomon Kane.
That's fine. As I said, I think that's like I said, between the two, actually, of the three Conan films, that is the best Conan film. I won't degrade, because it's not a badly crafted film, other than, good Lord, this is so badly paced.
The one thing I'll say about the original Red Sonja is it had the production spectacle that the new one didn't. So much of the new one is just no real sets, no real production design. A lot of it was just green screen or open fields, and just nothing like, my God, the lens flare, the gaudiness, all the costume designs, of Red Sonja are there. Well, it's just the acting isn't.
Well, the remake is more like it's a glorified pilot.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's it for this Robert E. Howard adventure.